In our 5th year of marriage, my mother began to put pressure on Florence for babies. For those of you who do not know, Florence and I do not have children, even though we've been married for 41 years. Uncle, how do I cope with my mother-in-law living with me in my matrimonial home? I'll end it there. It's a long question. It raises the issue of mothers-in-law and the marriages of their sons. It is not the fathers-in-law. It is not even the brothers-in-law. It is often the mothers-in-law, the sisters-in-law, making trouble. Don't ask me why it is. So, how do we work around it? In these matters, it is important to understand what we are dealing with, and then we can apply the principles. So the first thing to note is the cultural environment in which we are operating, where a value is put on the son so much that there are mothers who are never able to let their sons go. Now, when you relate to the boy whose mother holds him as the only boy, or who is what we call the star of the family, it becomes a very difficult thing, especially if he was raised by the mother as a widow because the father died or the father moved out of their lives, so the mother raised him exclusively. Then you must understand that you're going to have problems. We are in Ghana. We don't have the situation where government has put in place all kinds of support systems, and so one can depreciate the impact of the family, ignore the impact of the family. We are not there in our political, economic, and social development in Ghana in particular. And so the family unit is still so strong. Elsewhere, beyond the fact that your parents gave birth to you, you owe very little to them because there's so many social interventions to help you navigate your way through life. And so in some countries, it is very easy for a 17-year-old to leave home and be okay. In Ghana, if you did that, then you're going to be a street child. So because of that, dealing with in-laws is very difficult. From my perspective, if you do not make the in-laws your own family, then handling the issues will be very difficult. If you saw your in-laws as there and my husband and I here, you will struggle a little bit. The other thing is our own understanding of marriage. Truth is, we don't understand marriage in Ghana. When you marry somebody, you still remain a stranger to that person's family. That person still belongs to his family or her family, the spouse. You are a stranger. So in the event of the demise of your spouse, the family does not treat you as part of the family. You are a stranger. So you are not even involved in the arrangements for the burial and the funeral. They tell you what they want you to do, and you do that, and the rest is not yours. It's ours. So because of that, we must understand that our understanding of marriage is defective. Pardon me to say that, but that is what it is, for want of a better word. So you marry in this environment with this defective understanding and appreciation of marriage, and you must understand that you would have challenges. So let's work with general principles. I wish that every wife will be able to adopt her mother-in-law as her own mother and treat her like that. I wish. It should be possible. But I also know that there are cases where a daughter-in-law tries to embrace the mother-in-law as her own mother, and the woman will not have it because the woman sees the daughter-in-law as her rival for the affections and the attention and the resources of her son. So no matter what the daughter-in-law does, that woman is never going to embrace her as a daughter in some cases. But in the cases where the mother-in-law has been able to respond to the daughter-in-law embracing her, those are beautiful. The marriages work much better. There's also the case where there is a woman who gets into a man's life and decides to cut everybody off. I don't want you to pay attention to anybody from your family. And yet, this same person pays attention to her family, but cannot accept it when the boy attends to his people. And unfortunately, when you adopt that posture, the family will get to know one way or the other, and then the pushback may come. So there are all kinds of scenarios, but the principle is love. Difficult as it may be, if you can understand that this woman means everything to my man, this man means everything to this woman, how are we going to deal with that? Because this man has also come to mean everything to me. We have a life together. We are building a home, a unit together. How do we do that? The answer will not be clear-cut. The answer will be based on humility. It will be based on acceptance. It will be based on a lot of patience. It will be based on a lot of communication. In a perfect world, a mother would understand that at a certain time, the children are grown. They now have earned the right to be on their own. But this is not a perfect world. In a perfect world, a daughter-in-law would become a daughter to the mother-in-law. But this is not the perfect world. In a perfect world, a husband would know that there is a reason a man leaves his father and his mother and cleaves to his wife, as scripture says. But in our part of the world, that cleaving becomes a little bit more complicated. Because what does it mean? That then I won't support my mother when I am the one who has supported her all her life, golden age life. You realize that I'm beating about the bush. It's because it's not a very simple thing. One of these days, I am going to do a much more definitive discussion on what to do with the in-laws. But for now, for those who have asked questions, the questions range from the woman has a house of her own but prefers to live with us. In another case, for health reasons, she's come in, but she's creating all kinds of problems for everybody, including the maid servants. In one case, the woman's very harsh approach to the maid servants has ensured that the family has had to change maid servants 4 times. There are cases where the man will not even get involved in it at all, and yet the challenges and problems keep going on. Let me give you my own example. It may not be very typical, but I think it will shed a little bit of light. In our 5th year of marriage, my mother began to put pressure on Florence for babies, as it happens in many cases, and had all kinds of ways, both subtle and overt ways of letting my wife know that she was demanding for her grandchildren. And for those of you who do not know, Florence and I do not have children, even though we've been married for 41 years. And I realized that this was not going to be healthy for our marriage. So one day, when my mother had launched her attack, I went to her and said, "Mom, can we take a ride?" So in the car, as we drove, I said, "Mom, can I ask you a question?" Say, "Oh, yes, what is it?" I said, "If Florence was your daughter and she went into marriage, and 5 years into the marriage, there are still no children, and her mother-in-law kept pestering her and putting pressure on her for babies, and she came to you to complain, to tell you what the mother-in-law was doing to her, how would you feel about it?" And this is what my mother said: "My son, I understand." And that was the end of the matter. From that day till my mother died, the issue of the fact that Florence and I did not have biological children never became an issue. She never once raised it. I believe the reason why it worked was because I dealt with my mother. It becomes problematic when a man does not stand firm to communicate with his people. Because if the man spoke to your sisters, spoke to your mother, they would take it better than if your wife did. If your wife did, it would be, "Oh, she wants to take our son from us, we'll allow her to do it." But if the man can sit with the mother and talk with the sisters and let them know, "I love you, I would like to continue supporting you, I would love to continue being there for you, but please understand that I have a wife who is a part of my life and that would have to find a way of working this and making it work." If the man can do that, I hope the relationship will be less contentious than it otherwise have been. I know I'm beating around the bush, forgive me. It's not an easy thing, and I didn't want to trivialize it. I hope the letter I've said may be useful and may be a blessing to you. Patience, humility, acceptance, communication. Those are the keys. Kindly subscribe to my channel and click on the bell button. Thank you. You can have somebody who has been to school and is not educated.
Uncle, I am 37 years old, a degree holder, and a teacher, whilst he is into buildings and has a child out of marriage. He's 37 years too, just that I am 4 months older. My challenge is he has never been to school. He speaks just a little English. He expresses his deep love for me, and I like him too. But I really don't want to make mistakes because of the rate at which people are divorcing these days. We both don't understand each other's language, except Chi and a little of English that he speaks. I feel we might have issues understanding certain things in marriage. What should I do?
Indeed, in a perfect world, I don't think you would ask the question. You're asking the question because I suspect you have an idea of some of the challenges you are likely to get yourself into, especially with the details you've given in your question. Maybe you've already made up your mind. When I'm answering these questions, I answer it for those who are not in the situation so they don't get themselves into that situation. So let's look at the principles. No matter what we say about love, even when it is real, there are practical issues that can make love struggle. One is communication. Can we communicate? The other is our backgrounds, the exposures we have. Because you see, if you have a certain exposure and your partner, male or female, does not have that exposure, it's going to be very different. There are practical issues that can make love struggle. I know a case where a lady wanted her children to ride bicycle. The man could afford it. And so approached the man and said, they had 2 boys. My dear, let's get bikes for the children. The man's answer is that I never had bike when I was growing up. My children are not going to ride. Background, exposure. She knows what it will do for the boys. He has his own background. It doesn't make sense. So we must understand that in marriage, it is not just love. A lot of people think, oh, we love each other and love is all that we need. No, you need more than that. You need to have an understanding. You need to be on the same page. You are educated, he's not educated. Or you are schooled. And I'm correcting that because you can have somebody who has been to school and is not educated. And I know a number of them who are even professionals. But so let me correct that. You have been to school. You can read. You can hold your own in any setting. He does not read. He hasn't been to school. As you yourself said, he speaks very little English. So if you went out, let's say Teacher's Award, you've had an award, and you went out with him because you have to go with him, and the press decide to hold an interview with him in English. Would you be proud of that? He has a child. You don't. Would that child accept you? The woman he had a child with, is she still in the picture? So that is also another issue. Cultural background. You don't speak each other's language. So you're speaking a third language, which from the context of your question is not your language either. Not his, not yours. Even the cultural backgrounds, how are you going to navigate it? It is possible that the two of you are such fantastic people that you can navigate your way through all this. But you must understand that these are not minor issues. Yes, there are people who have navigated it. But hey, let's be careful because it has also not worked for many people. You said you do not want to make a mistake. Unfortunately, I fear this may be too late for you because the way you are talking, your heart day inside already. And you're just wanting someone to give a validation to it. All I'm saying is there are issues here. Are they deal breakers? I wouldn't say so. Are they cause to be careful? Oh, definitely. After all, marriages between two educated people haven't always worked well. Anyway, and so you cannot say that, oh no, someone who has schooling, another doesn't have schooling, and that could be a deal breaker. No. 2 graduates have married and they are not working. It's not working well. So that is not an issue. What kind of man is he as a human being? Is he humble? Is he patient? Is he generous? Is he thoughtful? Does he have a teachable spirit? Because he's coming to this with 0. If you taught him how to handle cutlery, would he get angry and decide that I never use cutlery? Or would he be willing to learn? I'm using cutlery as just an example. It does not mean that if somebody hasn't been to school, he doesn't know how to use cutlery. Though I'll be surprised if he does. Because for all I know, I suspect he uses spoon to eat rice instead of fork. And I know I'm going to get into trouble for that. But we are being practical here. Personal hygiene, what is it like? How does he carry himself? Is he somebody you can be proud of before your friends? Because women, you talk, you compare each other's men. Is he somebody who can bring you pride? Is he someone who will be a good father, who will be a great father for your children, somebody your children can be proud of. If he is, maybe give it a try, but don't do it without counseling. I do not know you, but there may be some people in church or in your community who know you, somebody in your family. Run this by them and let them help you. But I wish you all the best. 37, I suspect they are putting pressure on you to get married. Don't mind them. Take your time to marry. Don't feel pressured to get married. But I hope he's a good man. Yeah, go ahead.
Uncle, I think that, let me not speak about me. Women,
yes,
when they are choosing someone and they begin to ask,
can pay attention.
And they begin to ask questions like this, it means that it's an issue of concern for them. In this case, she's talking about age. There are so many inhibitions on her part, like age, the fact that the man has a child, the language difference, the fact that he doesn't even articulate the English language well. Yes. It's a problem.
Yes.
And in the marriage, sometimes when issues come up, he may go, because you speak good English, because you've been to school, because it will lead to the lady having to lower herself too many times for the relationship to work. So if you ask me, she shouldn't go ahead. The good character...
I've learned never to tell people don't do it, because this is life. You never know. I learned that the hard way in counseling, that you never know. So no, we have put the issues out to her. She's a sensible woman. She's a wise woman. She will know what to do. If you are taking the risk, take the risk with your eyes open, not closed. And remember, it is not just about love. There are many more issues involved. And the question is, have you even introduced him to your family? If you haven't, try that. That may help you know whether there's a future here. And has he introduced you to his people? But don't go on, I love him alone, because love needs to be carried. Love needs to be carried by respect, communication. Money may cover a lot of things, but when it's inside, it doesn't hurt. But if that is all there is also, you will have headaches. But bottom line, is this a man you can be proud of? Can you cheerfully, confidently go, hi, this is my husband? Or is he the kind you will say, Mekwaba the church? I wish you all the best. Kindly subscribe to my channel and click on the bell button. Thank you. My husband bluntly told me that I was the reason we couldn't have children. Uncle, I have followed your series on love since day one, but the one that made me decide to write to you was when you said in a video that we shouldn't drag issues when it comes to men. I have been married for 9 years, and in the early years, fertility was an issue. One day, my husband bluntly told me that I was the reason we couldn't have children and that he didn't love me anymore. Thankfully, we now have 2 kids. Yes. And I'm grateful to God. However, those words still hurt me deeply. And it's not just the words. His actions also show that he has lost interest in me. I have brought up this issue twice, but he has never admitted it or apologized. In this situation, what do you advise? Lord, I'm married for 9 years. I rejoice that God has come through for you and that nobody can say you are childless anymore. Your husband who said you are the reason you don't have children. Now, what does he say now that you have given him 2 kids? God is good, and I'm happy that God has shown you such goodness. Remember, there are many who are still waiting for the fruit of the womb. In my case, we have waited 41 years to the glory of God, and it's cool. So, in your case, he's come through for you. Now, what do you do with the words he said? The choice is yours. You can continue dwelling on those words, and you are the one who will be hurt, not him. For all you know, unfortunately, he's even forgotten about it. He's forgotten he even told you. And so difficult as it may be, you would have to do yourself a favor and decide, you know what, I'm going to let it go. Especially when God has vindicated you and shown that you are not the cause for the childless situation. That now you have children. So that's your vindication, and that is all that matters. The other side of the question that bothers me is when you say that his attitude has changed, that he doesn't seem to show that much interest in you as he used to. Get the counselors involved. I believe that 9 years ago, there was someone who counseled you. If that person is alive, or those group of people are still alive after 9 years, bring them in again. Or if they are not, and you are involved in a church, speak to somebody in the church and let the person understand, we are having this problem. Can you find a way of helping us out? And if you chose the right person, I'm sure he would help you out. But bottom line, hey, you have every reason to rejoice because God came through for you. Every other thing is bogus. God came through for you. Well, let me know what you think about this, and let's have a discussion with it. This Uncle Ebo Whyte, and you can ask me anything. Stay blessed.